Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cole, and today we're looking at all of my LEGO car MOCs that I currently own that I have designed. Recently, I saw a Brick's video on where he looked over all the LEGO car MOCs that he had designed that he owns, so I figured, why not try and make a video like that for myself? So today we will be looking over all my cars that I have built that I own. But before we get started, the instructions for most of these cars are available at the link in the description below at readbrickville.com, which I linked down below, which I think I just said twice. And also, some of these are available as tutorial videos, so I linked the playlist of tutorial videos down below. So we'll start off with the Bugatti Veyron. This is not any particular order, I'm just going from one side of my shelf to the other side of my shelf. Yeah, okay, over there. So, the Bugatti Veyron. Now, I started out building the Veyron with the intention of building the Stradman Veyron. The Stradman is a guy who basically went from living in his car to owning a Bugatti Veyron and 3 million YouTube subscribers and all that, and he worked very hard to get there, as you can see if you look at his channel. And he's one of my favorite channels to watch on YouTube in cars. If you're into cars, I highly recommend you check his channel out. I wanted to build his Veyron in LEGO with this crazy purple and white wrap, you can see. So I designed it, and then halfway through I was like, yeah, there's not really that many purple parts in LEGO, I should probably design a standard specification Veyron. So I went with black, dark blue and black, and this one kind of came out like. And then I built the Stradman one, but it was a bit compromised because LEGO doesn't make a lot of parts in purple, like I said, so I had to file down some parts here and there, and it doesn't look as good as the standard one. But I think the Veyron could use a bit of an update. Boat models, the windshield design is a bit overcomplicated, and the front end is a bit too flat, I think, for the Veyron. But the rear end, I think, is one of my better designs for a rear end of a car. I really like how the taillights came out and the exhaust system especially. And then we have the Mclaren 720S, which was an alternate build of the Elva set, which came out recently, and I recently made a tutorial video on that one. But basically, I just took apart the Elva, but I think one or two people requested in the comments that I build a alternate 720S out of the Elva. And so I basically just took apart the Elva, and then on the chassis I just rebuilt it to look sort of as much as I could like a 720S, and I think it looks pretty good. I think the sides are a bit of an unusual design. I think it works pretty well. They're not necessarily extremely 720S-like, but they are sort of close to a 720S, which I think is good enough because it's an alternate build. And I was pretty happy with how it came out. I was pretty happy with how I did with all the available parts. Then we have the Mclaren Saber. As you can see, we're sort of going in order of brands at McLaren right now, so we're going through all the McLarens. Then we have the McLaren Saber, which is like a rebodied Senna. In real life, it's a rebodied Senna, and interestingly enough, I did base the Saber off of my 8-wide Senna, which we'll get to in a minute. So basically, the Saber is a pretty simple design. There's nothing too crazy. It's mostly standard techniques all over, except the rear end with the diffuser, which I was quite happy with how that turned out. It looks very aggressive, and it's a pretty simple model, so I think maybe I go over another time, go look at the design, and then try and make some features, maybe try opening doors or something like that. It looks very kind of, it's a little bit boring almost. Then we have the Senna GTR, which is my 8-stud wide modification of the LEGO Senna 6-stud wide set, and I had the standard Senna, and I built a GTR version, which is basically a couple more aerodynamic bits around the spoiler and the front end and that kind of thing. It's not really a lot to talk about because it's very similar to the LEGO set, just wider, but I'm happy with how it came out, although it's not, like, you know, perfect. So I might try in the future just to, like, build a Senna from scratch with no inspiration from LEGO's model, because I think we could probably do better. Then we have the Lamborghini Murcielago, and it has gotten a facelift since you guys last saw it. I think it looks a lot better, it looks a lot cleaner, it's not so lumpy looking, looks a lot more aggressive also. And the Murcielago is just one of my favorite cars. And I was pretty happy. I'm still very happy with the rear end and the sides. Although the sides, they're not perfect, but on the rear end, I think is one of my better designs, one of my best designs actually. And so, yeah, we're just going to try and modify the front end a bit, and that'll be coming up in a video pretty soon here. Then we have 3 versions of the Gallardo. The first one is the Gallardo Super Trofeo, which is this racing version of the Gallardo, which has been sitting around for a while and nothing's happened, so that one's going to be taken apart pretty soon. We have the orange Gallardo, which is also not really too crazy, but I do really like the rear end design on that. I think it's one of my better designs. It was quite an early design actually, but I got a lot of positive feedback, so I think you guys like it a lot. And then we have the Gallardo Superleggera, which is based on F-Spot's Gallardo Superleggera, who's another car guy on YouTube, and that's kind of a theme you will see here. But basically, it is a Superleggera version of the Gallardo, so you have the Superleggera stripes and Superleggera wing. Then we have my very favorite of all of these, the Acura NSX Liberty Walk, which is basically the wide-body version with the big wing and all the crazy stuff. And these Liberty Walk kits, they have them for a lot of cars like the Aventador and the Huracan and various supercars. They didn't really add any performance. In fact, they probably take away from the performance, but they add to the looks. Although they might not add to the looks for some people think they're dreadfully ugly, but I personally like them quite a bit, even though it probably, you know, lower them a lot, so it's not really that's not gonna make them handle any better. Well, I think a slightly boring supercar like the NSX, it works a lot better with the wide body kit, so I was really happy with how that turned out. I had the idea of how it would look, and I was really happy with how the design looked when I finally got it built, because this was like one that was in my head for a long time, like how am I going to design this one, and then eventually I built the standard version without the wide body kit, and I built the wide body one, and it came out just as good as I was hoping it would, which I was quite happy with, which, yeah, that makes sense, right? Then we have the Mercedes AMG GT Black Series, which is kind of a secret or surprise model that I haven't revealed yet, but I figured might as well reveal it here. And basically it is based on B150's idea of a GT Black Series in Silver Beam Yellow. So I'm just gonna let you look at it. I'm gonna make a video on it pretty soon here, so yeah, you can just take a look at it here. Then we have the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon, which is obviously the 8-wide modification of the Lego set. I think it was my first Lego car mock. Basically, like I said, it's 8-wide modification of the Lego set. So externally, it looks just like the Lego set, but internally, it's very different with the construction of it. It's kind of an old design, so it's not really that great of a design on the inside. It's not like super structurally great, but I think it is one of my best looking mocks. It is very simple design. It's mostly Lego's design, so I guess I can't really take much credit for it, but it is one of my favorite designs. Then we have the Koenigsegg Jesko Hydra, which is basically a special version of the Jesko, which is going to come out, I think, next video, so you can stay tuned for that. You can just take a look at it right here. Then we have the Nissan GTR Nismo, which is obviously a modification of the Lego set. Basically, all the stickers are gone, and that's going to get the wide body treatment pretty soon, so yeah, that's going to something you might want to stay tuned for. Then we have the Mark IV Supra, which is, I think, a design a lot of you guys like. I stayed up really late one night just coming up with the design for it, and I think it turned out really nicely, so maybe I should stay up later designing cars if they're going to turn out like that. Then we have the Mark V Supra, or the BMW Supra, as I like to call it, and as a lot of people were confused when I called it that in that video, but basically it is a modification of the Lego set. I think it is one of my better modifications of the set. It's got the wing, it's got the upgraded front end, it's been stanced, and I think it turned out quite nicely. Then we have this 7-stud wide station wagon, which is inspired by various 90s station wagons and 90s cars. Basically, it was inspired by the E36 AMG wagon, but it is based. Some people said it looks like a GMC Cyclone, some people said it looks like a Chevy Impala, somebody else said it looked like something else, I can't remember. But basically, it's a 90s station wagon. It's 7 studs wide to go with this house that I built recently, which will be in a future video. We have the Porsche 911 Gt2 Rs, and the best part of this one by far is the color. It's not really a very good Gt2 Rs or 911 design in general, but the color I think is one of my very favorite parts. I figured this color would look really good on a Porsche, which it does. So I just came up with a simple 911 design and modified some parts, like filed them down, cut some parts off here and there, and to fit them on there, and I think it turned out really, really nicely. Then we have the Lamborghini Urus off-road wide body build thing, which also is a modification of a set. It's like, you know, it's built for off-roading. It's got a big light bar, tires, and that kind of thing. It's a really cool model. Then we have the trophy truck, which is also an old design, but I think a design that a lot of you guys like, judging by general statistics and things like that, I don't know. But it is one of my favorite designs. It's another old design, but I think it turned out really nicely with the dark green, the working suspension, well, sort of working suspension, but yeah, I think it's one of my favorite older designs. Then we have the Ford Raptor and Hennessy Velociraptor 6x6, which were like very old designs, and I updated them, and now they're newer, and I think they look pretty good, although they're kind of like pretty static models. They don't really have a lot of functions, and they look kind of blocky, but because they're pickup trucks, they're not really like, they don't have a crazy design to them. I think they look good. Then we have the Mercedes G500 Cabriolet, which is definitely more interesting, based on Doug Demuro's vehicle, another car guy, YouTuber, and basically it's a Mercedes G-Wagon convertible, and it's weird and cool, and that's kind of the story behind it. So that is the entire collection right now. There are a couple other Lego sets in there that are kind of been mixed in, but like I said, the instructions and tutorial videos are all linked in the description below, and I guess that's it for now. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.